Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 22-23 Golden Goal Awards. I'm your host, Tom. It's always me on this channel anyway, but I just thought I'd introduce myself like an award ceremony. We'll wait for a few more people to join the stream, and then we'll get on with things. I've donned a suit for the occasion. It's a very special day. It's the Golden Goal Awards, the first time we've done one of these. I'm very excited to share the categories and nominations that I've got for you. I'm always interested in a bit of audience participation as well. So when we go through the categories, please let me know who you think your own nominees are and who you think are deserving of the awards. FPL Sparta, it's good to have you in here, mate. I'm not drinking alcohol at the moment because I'm training for a big swimming competition coming up. So cheers. Got a bottle of water. That's my booze tonight. I hope everyone's doing well. Hope you all had a good bank holiday weekend and your FPL season finished all right. Mine was pretty distinctly average, to be honest. I took a punt in the last week, went for Son as captain. Didn't have Harry Kane, so I was very average. But we forget about that. Tonight is all about the Golden Goal Awards. So yeah, if you're along, feel free to say hello in the chat, make yourself known, and then we'll get right on with things. What I'll do, I'll give a little sneak preview of the categories that we have this evening. We've got 6 awards in total. First one, the worst asset of the season, the troll of the season, the biggest surprise, the emerging asset, my personal favourite player, and the MVP of the season. I'll change the graphics up a little bit. I thought I'd get rid of the ticker for the awards and show myself in a bit more of full screen as well, so you get full screen Tom. First up then, we have the worst asset. Quite simply, the worst player. We're going to start on the negative stuff and move on to the positive. Quite simply, the worst player to own in FPL this season. And the nominees are Ederson for being an absolute terrible goalkeeper. I think over the running of the season, he conceded from pretty much the only shot on goal that he had against him every game. Reece James, he barely even played, and when he did, I think he scored points in 3 games this whole season. I actually feel really bad. I don't like nominating him for being bad, but because his injury is really unfortunate. Because I think he's got potential to be the best right back in the country. So I'm hoping the injuries don't prevail. But yeah, Reece James, my God, he was terrible this season. I had him for quite a lot of the time. He either didn't play or he blanked because Chelsea were rubbish. And then finally, the third nominee, Heung-min Son. I don't think he had a particularly terrible season, but compared to what he did last year, he won the Golden Boot last season, and this year, not so good. See, we've got a few. Nunes, Joseph Robinson says Nunes is the worst. Best player, Martin Odegaard. We'll see. Reece James, bit of Ederson. It's got to be Ederson, the big troll. 1 shot, 1 goal. Well, the winner, ladies and gentlemen, of the worst player this FPL season is Reece James. Bit of stats on Reece James. He started 14 games this season, only 14 games, and he blanked in 10 of them. Couldn't stay fit this season. Chelsea were terrible, and in those 14 games, he only got 3 attacking returns. All that attacking upside people were talking about of him at right wing back, only 3 attacking returns. So, Reece James, the worst player of this FPL season. Let me know what you think of that in the chat. Obviously, I'm voting on my own nominees, if that makes sense. But yeah, always interested in audience participation. But yeah, Reece James, absolutely terrible. I'm hoping that things improve for him next season, just as a personal, thing. Because I really like him as a player. But yeah, this season he had a pretty terrible year. Matty win a lot. You were correct, my friend. Okay, next up, we've got the troll of the season. Excited to see who you guys think are the nominees for this one. My nominees are Reece James again. I think there were about 3 or 4 times where I started him and he actually was injured, and either Tuchel, Potter, or Frank Lampard hasn't even had him, has he? But yeah, he didn't even say if he was injured, then he just didn't play. And when he did play, he blanked in pretty much every game. Callum Wilson. For some people, towards the end of the season, he was their absolute saviour. I know FPL Guns, the guy that ended up winning FPL, had Wilson for the run-in, and he puts the sole win down to having Callum Wilson, basically. And Paul McNulty, good friend of Golden Goal, who won the Sky game, had Callum Wilson, and he won £50,000 by winning the Sky game, and he says having Callum Wilson was one of the reasons that happened. Unfortunately for me, I didn't have Callum Wilson at the end of the season, so he absolutely destroyed my rank in FPL. And then at the beginning of the season, he completely mugged me off. Game week 14, I think it was, he ended up scoring 2 goals and got 2 assists that game week. I tried to transfer him in at 5 minutes before the deadline, and the game crashed. So I lost out on probably, 19 points that week, and then I didn't have him for the run-in. So, Callum Wilson has absolutely trolled me. And then, to top it all off, after the whole deadline debacle, I bought him, and Eddie Howe never said he was injured. He was injured. He missed like 3 or 4 weeks of football, and Eddie Howe every week didn't say anything about him. So we were none the wiser as to whether he was going to play. So Callum Wilson, big nominee. You can probably tell he might win this one. Pep Guardiola, well, he's a troll every season, isn't he? Just don't know who he's going to pick. Every week the lineup changes. No one can predict him. All the top predictors on Twitter, no one can predict what Pep's going to do with his team. And he trolled me again. Phil Foden, I had him in my team for a little while. I remember he went 5 or 6 games on the bounce where he started and scored, and then he just got dropped for no reason from the team. See there, Joseph Robinson saying Zaha is always a troll year in, year out. Absolutely, mate. Ben Vlogs, Wilson lost him 300 quid. Paul just came first in the end. Not to disrespect his achievement at all, but he only only got first place. I think there was another guy in second and third. Wilson and Isaac ruined me too, mate. And the winner is Callum Wilson. One thing I've noticed about Wilson, right, he doesn't seem to train at all for Newcastle. I think just with his injury status, he just doesn't train. I think Eddie Howe, or whoever his managers have been, they know how bad his hamstrings are, and he doesn't actually do intensive first team training. He just shows up on match day, puts in a performance, and then goes and recovers for a week. Yeah, the guy's got hamstrings absolutely made of cheese. And Eddie Howe absolutely says nothing about when he's not going to play. I've got a little clip to show you about when he trolled me in game week 14. Before the deadline, hopefully. Done. Oh, no! No. You're joking. FPL's frozen. I can't make my transfers. The game's frozen. Brilliant. And that's it. What a fucking nightmare. The game's broken. Oh my God. So the deadline's hit. We know Haaland's not playing. And what can he do? What a farce. What an absolute farce. What a joke. Obviously, everyone's making their transfers in exactly the same position as me, thinking, what the hell do I do? So now I've got Solanke. Oh, what a disaster. So Foden and Haaland not playing. What a fucking farce. Yeah, I'm not bothered, man. Yeah, I said at the end of that clip that I wasn't bothered. I was bothered. That really annoyed me. I agree. I think he's literally, on paper, he's England's 3rd best striker. Genuinely think that. But you're right. He just can't keep fit. All right. Callum Wilson then, the troll of the season. Next up, we've got the biggest surprise. So this award is awarded to the player who exceeded anyone's expectations at the start of the season. So my nominees... and they're all Brighton players. But ultimately, Mitoma. Didn't even know who Mitoma was at the start of the season. He didn't even play until about game week 6. I'd never even heard of him. And he's scored over 10 goals this season, I think, something like that. But an absolute FPL legend. And he started the game. No one had him in their team. Solly March. I thought he was a championship player. I got to say. I didn't have Elmer on, so sorry. he's a championship player. That's what I thought. But he's turned into like a really, really top-class right winger for them. And Estupinian, never even heard of him either. But yeah, the guy's been unbelievable. He's literally one of the best left-backs in the league, and we never even heard of him before this season. So yeah, 3 very respectable nominees. They all come from the same team, but really I think, you know, Potter and De Zerbi deserve a lot of, well, De Zerbi mainly deserve a lot of credit for bringing these players up and out of their skin. Mitoma, Estupinian in March, the 3 nominees, and the winner? It's got to be Karim Mitoma, hasn't it? I mean, tell me, have you heard of Karim Mitoma at the start of this season? Almiron, yeah, I understand. He was a good option. But most of us had heard of him, and we knew what he did in the MLS. I'd actually suggest that he was pretty disappointing when he first signed for Newcastle, and what he did this season was kind of what he was sort of expected to do when he came in. But Mitoma, most of us haven't even heard of him. He started off 4.5 million, and he ended the game 5.7 million. He went up 1.2 million in value and 28% ownership. Obviously, he started from nothing. And looking back at his stats, he wasn't even in the Brighton team until game week 14. He only had his first start in game week 14. And from then, he's got himself 16 attacking returns this season. So for me, the most surprising asset this year has got to be Mitoma. Interesting stat there from Matty Winalot. Did you know that Pascal Gross outscored all 3 Brighton midfielders? I didn't know that, to be honest. Did you know that Harry Kane, I think, was only like 6 or 7 points off 6 or 7 points off Haaland in the end as well. But yeah, Pascal Gross, fair enough. The next award is the emerging asset in the style of Micah Richards on Sky Sports, the player that burst onto the scene this season. And my nominees are Karim Mitoma again. Could be a multi-award winner here, but genuinely, like, call it bursting on the scene. He only started playing in game week 14, so I really think he's in for the equation here. McAllister, I mean, last season he did all right, but really we only saw him as an asset this year. You know, got the penalties, got the set pieces, won the World Cup, and, well, I personally hadn't heard of Alexis McAllister before the start of this season, really. I knew he was playing for Brighton, but none of us considered a player of the level that he has. I mean, he might not even be at Brighton next season. He might be shining for Liverpool. I think, in fact, he already has, and they're just waiting for the transfer window to come in. Odegaard, I know he was a good player before this season, but I think this season, like, Odegaard has really come out of his skin, hasn't he? I think he's been awesome for Arsenal. Genuinely, like, I know the likes of Martinelli and Saka have done well, but I think Odegaard has literally been Arsenal's best player this season. And I didn't think he had it in him, to be honest. Yeah, obviously, as Ben was saying, he was touted as a wonder kid at the time. I remember he was like 14, 15 playing in the Norwegian Premier League, and then he signed for Madrid, sort of just dropped off a little bit, but he's been absolutely unbelievable for Arsenal, and fair play to him. So yeah, 3 nominees. We got Mitoma, McAllister, and Odegaard. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. I see Ben Vlogs bigging up McAllister. You're right about the Kane and Haaland minutes, though, to be fair. And my winner, the emerging asset, that's what this award is. I forgot my own awards. The emerging asset award goes to Alexis McAllister. In my opinion, someone said that Pascal Gross ended up outscoring him. Fair enough. I think McAllister is the best Brighton midfielder of the bunch. He ended up as the emerging set piece and penalty taker, scored some free kicks and penalties this year. He completely doubled his attacking output from last season. Obviously, I think Pascal Gross was on the penalties last season, wasn't he? But McAllister's taken that responsibility now. Obviously, he's played so well. The big question is, will he be at Brighton next season? And to be honest, I think the Liverpool move is pretty much wrapped up. It looks like he was having like an emotional moment with De Zerbi at the end of the game. So, yeah, he might already be gone from Brighton. But Alexis McAllister, well done, my friend. I had March over you, and I'm sorry. I probably should have had McAllister instead of March, but there you go. Alexis McAllister is the emerging asset of the season. Oh no, I'm not even on the camera on this one. Shocking. Hang on. There we go. I hope you like the picture of me there, by the way. I couldn't find a more flattering or a more flattering picture of that. It's my favourite player of the season, so I make up the rules on this award, basically. I don't need to explain it. And the nominees. We've got Ollie Watkins, a player that I hopped on the bandwagon of Before anyone else did, I saw the upside that Ollie Watkins would provide, and I stuck him in my team just as the purple patch began. So I feel like one of the few rank gains I had this season was thanks to Ollie Watkins. Gone for Harrison Reed. I think it was like game week 15, something like that. I had him third on my bench. I had a player that was injured in my first team, and the first and second player on my bench were injured. So I had to play Harrison Reed, basically. He came into my team. He played 300 games in his career and I think scored 2 goals. And the one time he came into my FPL team, he scored. So Harrison Reed, thank you, mate. And then just not an honourable mention, that's unfair to say, but Andreas Pereira, I mean, whenever I needed him, he was there on my bench, scoring a goal, getting an assist, scoring a penalty when Mitrovic was in the team. Absolute hero for me and one of my favourite players. But the winner, it's got to be Harrison Reed. I bought him in game week 12, never expecting to play him. Someone in my 11 ended up injured. Both players on my bench were red flagged. He came into my team, scored his 6th goal of his career in 200 games when he appeared as third on my bench in my fantasy team. So Harrison Reed, an absolute, it's the luckiest moment I think I've had in fantasy football, really, when you think of the odds of all that happening. Harrison Reed, I love you, man. Thank you very much. We're on to the final award, everyone. It's the most valuable player. In the words of Kevin Durant, you're the real MVP. That was the most cringeworthy thing I've done. I'm sorry. The nominees are Kieran Trippier. I would say, well, up until the end of the season, certainly when Newcastle were on their absolute ham run of clean sheets, he was unbelievable, getting attacking returns. I think he got bonus points pretty much every game in a row for about 20 games. Martinelli, started with him in this season. I think he was 6.5 million, wasn't he? To be honest, I think he was absolutely unbelievable. I think he scored over 15 goals. They're all class. Ben, you're absolutely right. Martinelli, I think for the money you pay, is absolutely unbelievable. And Erling Haaland broke the Premier League goal scoring record. He didn't break the FPL goal scoring record or goal scoring record, points record, obviously because Salah was a midfielder when he broke his. I'm getting all my words wrong. Yeah, Salah was the king, wasn't he, for that season? And he's the top scoring player in FPL history. But Erling Haaland, he broke the Premier League goal scoring record, and I think, to be honest, most of us had him as captain pretty much every week. So let me know, because this is the big one. This is the final award, the most valuable player. Let me know in the chat who your MVP is. It's a tough one, Ben. I'm denied about this one. This is the Golden Goal Awards, Matty win a lot, you know. I am Golden Goal. This is the Golden Goal Awards, mate. Tyrone Mings, yeah, absolutely. Martinelli for rank gains, fair enough. I think, though, it's got to be Erling Haaland, hasn't it? I know it's a little bit boring, but I mean, I literally had him captain every week. Broke the Premier League goal scoring record. I think pretty much broke FPL, to be honest. He started. One thing about Erling Haaland is every game, apart from when obviously City won the title, every game that he was actually physically fit for, he started. The only times he was on the bench for Pep was when he was actually an injury doubt. He started every game he was fit for. Need I say any more? That's my thoughts. Erling Haaland is my most valuable player. I can feel a few people booing that one. It might not be the most popular decision, but for me, he's got to be the most valuable player. If every team had Man City players, then I think any striker would score as many goals as Haaland. Haaland was amazing, I agree. I do feel like Kane could have scored, an absolute hatful if he was in the City team, don't get me wrong. Well, that's it. It's emotional. It's probably the last stream I'll do now. I'll get a few videos out. I'll get a few videos out during the summer. Don't you worry about that. But I've donned my suit for this final live occasion of 22-23 season. The Golden Goal Awards. It seems fitting to end the season with an award show, doesn't it? Like every good football club or football channel does. I've got some ideas, Ben Vlogs. Don't you worry. We'll see. Just keep it posted, mate. I've got some good video ideas. Don't you worry. They're all in there. Well, I've actually got them all written in here. Don't you worry. Oh, no early drafts. Don't worry about that. We've got something else. But yeah, honestly, thank you. If you're watching this live or watching this back, just thank you so much this season. I've really appreciated everyone's support. I had a lovely time on the deadline stream on Sunday. Well, every deadline stream I do is an absolute pleasure to interact with you guys on the chat. Thank you so much for your support on all the videos. Like I said in one of my posts, I feel like just like a mental thing, like having this YouTube channel and a creative outlet has given me like a real sense of purpose in my life. And I don't see myself putting it down or stopping it anytime soon. So yeah, I appreciate everyone for watching these videos. And yeah, roll on next season for some more live videos, and I'll try and crank out some content over the summer. But yeah, I'll see you later, everyone. I'll do the how should I exit? I don't know. Should we do a salute? We'll do a salute.